Hello everyone. In today's class, we're going to discuss properties of linear transformations. So we are already familiar with the definition of linear transformation. A mapping from one vector space to another vector space is said to be linear transformation provided image of alpha plus beta is image of alpha plus image of beta under the mapping T. That is T of alpha plus beta is equal to T of alpha plus T of beta. And second condition is image of C alpha, that is T of C alpha is equal to C into T of alpha, where alpha and beta are coming from U and C is any scalar element. Now in continuation to that, we're going to prove theorem 2. What it says, suppose T is a mapping from U to V and is linear, then we have to show that image of 0 under the mapping T is 0 element of V. Remember here, 0 is the additive identity of U and 0 dash is the additive identity of V. So because U and V are vector spaces, they are abelian group under addition. Therefore, additive identity exists. And they are saying that image of 0 element of U can be 0 element of V only. Right? So image of 0 element, that is additive identity of U, is 0 element of V. That is additive identity of V. And the next thing is image of additive inverse of alpha, that is minus alpha, is same as minus image of alpha under the mapping T. Both are one and the same. This is true for all vectors in U. And the next one is image of C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 etc. up to Cn alpha n is nothing but, write the scalar outside, C1 into T of image of first vector plus C2 into image of second vector etc. up to image of alpha n into Cn, where alphas are coming from U and Ci's are coming from field F. In fact, this is the extension of the theorem 1. In theorem 1, we have proved only for two vectors, alpha 1 and alpha 2. This is for n vectors. This is the linear combination of n vectors, right? Okay, let's prove them. See, first we have to show that image of 0 is 0 dash. Okay, let me take a vector alpha in U. So let us assume that alpha is a vector in U. Then we know that because this is a mapping, every element of domain should have image in codomain, that is V. Since alpha is a vector in U, alpha must have image in V. Let us assume that image as T of alpha. So T of alpha is a vector in V. And we knew that V is a vector space. Therefore, it is abelian group under addition. If it is abelian group under addition, it satisfies identity law under addition also. What is that identity law? Take any element of V, add with 0 element, then the resulting answer will be that element itself. Since T of alpha is a vector in V and 0 dash is the additive element of additive identity of V, 0 element plus that element should give you same element because of identity law of V. These are all elements in V. Therefore, identity law of V. So T of alpha plus 0 dash is same as T of alpha. Now, where your alpha belongs, alpha is an element in U. And note that U is also a vector space. Hence, it is a abelian group under addition. Hence, identity law under addition holds. What is identity law? Take any vector in U, add that with 0, then the resulting answer will be that element only. So since alpha is a vector in U, I'm writing within bracket, alpha plus 0 is again alpha because of identity law, right? But remember, what is your T? That given T is a linear transformation. Since it is a linear transformation, the first condition of linear transformation says image of sum of two vector is nothing but sum of image of first vector plus some image of second vector. That is T of alpha plus beta is equal to T of alpha plus T of beta. I'll apply that first condition of linearity, but instead of beta I've taken 0. 0 is also a vector in U, and for every vector of U this is true. Therefore, I've written this one as T of alpha plus 0 equal to T of alpha plus T of 0. Now, what was your left-hand side? Your left-hand side is T of alpha plus 0 dash. And your right-hand side is T of alpha plus T of 0. Now, remember, each of these elements are in V. The images are in V. And V is a abelian group. And we know that in group, cancellation law holds. So, by left cancellation law, T of alpha cancels. Therefore, 0 dash will be equal to T of 0. That is the required answer. Right? So, image of an identity element is always identity. That is what the first case is. Now, let us prove the second one. To prove second one, since the first one is true, let us use that one. We know that 0 dash is nothing but what? T of 0. 0 dash is nothing but T of 0. And you know that alpha is an element in U and U is a vector space. Therefore, inverse law under addition holds. That means every element of U will have additive inverse. Since alpha is a vector in U, alpha must have additive inverse. What is the additive inverse of alpha? Yes, it is minus alpha, because the inverse law says if you add that element with its inverse, you should get answer as 0, identity. So alpha plus which number gives you 0? Obviously minus alpha. So alpha plus minus alpha equal to 0. I've written this one because of inverse law of U. Within bracket I've written. Now, because T is linear, again apply the first condition of linearity. That is T of alpha plus beta. Instead of beta, I'm having minus alpha. So you can view this one as T of alpha plus beta. What is T of alpha plus beta? T of alpha plus T of beta. Instead of beta, you have to write minus alpha. So your written sum of two vectors is equal to 0 element. What is the meaning of sum of two vectors equal to 0 element? It is very simple. Sum of two vector equal to 0 element means one is the additive inverse of other. Sum of two elements will be 0 element only if one is the additive inverse of other. Therefore, this is saying that T of minus alpha is the additive inverse of T of alpha. So T of minus alpha is the additive inverse of T of alpha. But we know that, see, what is the additive inverse of alpha? Minus alpha. What is the additive inverse of beta? Minus beta. Similarly, what is the additive inverse of T of alpha? It is minus T of alpha. But we have proved T of minus alpha is also inverse of T of alpha. So it is having two inverses. No, that is not possible, because we know that in a group, inverse of an element is unique. That means every element must have one unique inverse. That means one element can have at most one inverse. So therefore, this T of alpha can have only one inverse, additive inverse. That is possible only if these two are equal. That means T of minus alpha will be equal to minus T of alpha. That is what we have to prove. We have proved that one. And this is true for all alpha belongs to U. Because I've chosen alpha is any element in U. You can give all the values of U to alpha, one at a time. Next, we'll prove the third result. What is that? We had to show that T of this equal to this. Now we prove this by mathematical induction. What is your mathematical induction? Let us assume the result which you have to show as P of n. So let us assume that P of n is this. Okay. Now we have to give value for n, and we have to show that it is true. First, let us prove this result for n equal to 1. If you put n equal to 1, that means you have to consider only one vector. So the left side will become T of C1 alpha 1. T of C1 alpha 1. We have to show that that is equal to C1 into T of alpha 1. This one we have to show. But that is trivially true. Why? If you take only one vector, T of C1 alpha 1, because T is linear, I can apply the second condition of linearity. So I can take out this scalar outside, and I can write this one as C1 into T of alpha 1. Therefore, we got the result for n equal to 1. That means if you choose only one vector, this is true. In fact, our theorem 1 proves for two vector. In that, we have shown T of C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 is equal to C1 into T of alpha 1 plus C2 into T of alpha 2. So we have proved that this result is true for two vectors also. So it is true for one vector. Hence, assume that this result is true for m vectors. That means P of m, which is given by T of C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2, etc. up to Cm alpha m. I've considered m vector, and I can write this one as C1 into T of alpha 1 plus C2 into T of alpha 2, etc. up to Cm into T of alpha m. So we have proved for n equal to 1, that is one vector, and assume that this result is true for m vectors. So that means if there are m vectors, we can write like this. We have assumed. And mathematical induction says, if you assumed the result for n equal to m, prove that that result is true for m plus 1 vectors also. That means we have to show that if we consider m plus 1 vectors, that is C1 alpha 1 to Cm plus 1 alpha m plus 1, then this can also be written like this. That is C1 T alpha 1 to Cm plus 1 T alpha m plus 1. We have to show this. If you prove this, then by mathematical induction, P of m implies P of m plus 1. Therefore, you can continue that, and hence it is true. So let us consider left-hand side. And let us obtain right-hand side. What is your left-hand side? The left-hand side is T of C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2, etc. up to Cm alpha m plus Cm plus 1 alpha m. I'm having how many vectors here? M plus 1 vectors. Sum of m plus 1 vectors. Let me do one thing. Let me take a bracket for first m vectors, and let me make that one as one group. Okay. And the remaining vector, Cm plus 1 alpha m plus 1, I'll take separately. Now suppose if you assume this is alpha and this is beta, this is of the form T of alpha plus beta. And we know that because T is linear, T of alpha plus beta will be equal to T of alpha plus T of beta. But alpha is this and beta is this. Write that one. So I'm writing this one because T is linear, and the first condition I have applied. Now you know that the one we have assumed that this result is true for m vectors. That means if there are m vectors of this form, I can write that one like this. And see this first term, it is left-hand side of this. So I can write right-hand side of equation 1 because it is true. We have assumed this is true. So I can write this one as C1 into T of alpha 1 plus C2 into T of alpha 2, etc. up to Cm into T of alpha m. And for this one, because T is linear, and we have proved if there is only one vector, straight away you can write like this. So because of that condition, because T is linear, I can write this scalar outside, and we are going to get T of alpha m plus 1. Second condition of linearity. For this one, second condition of linearity, and for this one, from equation 1 or from this. Okay. Now see this. Your left hand side is T of C1 alpha 1 to Cm plus 1 alpha m plus 1, and right hand side is C1 into T of alpha 1, etc. up to Cm plus 1 into T of alpha m plus 1. That is what this result. So we have proved that the result is true for n equal to m plus 1. That means we using P of m, we have proved P of m plus 1. Similarly, now we have proved P of m plus 1 is true. So I can use this one. So P of m plus 1 is true, implies P of m plus 2 is true. It goes on continuous. Therefore, this result is true for any n vectors. Hence, by mathematical induction, the result is true. That means what it is saying, if there is a linear combination of n vectors, you can write the scalars outside. Just you can write the image of each vector and submit. So this is one more important result which we are going to use in future. Next, let us go for next theorem. What the next theorem says, suppose if there are n vectors are there, beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n, and this is any basis vectors of the vector space U. So you are familiar what is meant by basis vectors. Basis vector means those vectors which spans the vector space. That means using these vectors we can generate every element of U. For example, see, you are familiar with V2 or R2. We know that every element of R2 is of the form, which form? Ordered pair x comma y. You know that every element in R2 is of the form ordered pair x comma y, right? Every element of R2 is of this form, right? Then we know that the vectors 1, 0 and 0, 1, they span this R2. Why? Because every element of R2 can be written as x into 1, 0 plus y into 0, 1. So we have generated every element of R2 using the vectors 1, 0, which is a constant, and 0, 1, which is also a constant. In fact, these two are unit vectors. This is unit vector along x-axis. This is unit vector along y-axis. So using these two vectors, we have generated every element of R2. Therefore, see, this is of this form. T of, linear combination form. C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2. Right? C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2. We are written this one. So what I'm saying is every element of R2 is generated by two fixed vectors. Therefore, these two vectors 1, 0 and 0, 1 spans R2. That means 1, 0 and 0, 1 becomes the basis vectors of R2. So basis vector means every element of that vector space can be written as linear combination. This is any scalar into fixed vector plus any scalar into fixed vector. If you can write like it, like this linear combination, then we say these two are basis vectors. So that given beta 1 and beta 2, etc. up to beta n is any basis vectors of U. That means any element of U can be written as linear combination of these vectors. Linear combination means scalar into this first vector plus another scalar into this plus etc. up to another scalar into beta n. In that form, we can write every vector of U. Right? How many vectors are here? N vectors. And alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. up to alpha n are any n vectors, this one, not m, are any n vectors of the vector space V then we have to show that there exists a unique linear transformation. There exists only one linear transformation such that t from u to v with image of these vectors is equal to alpha is of v. In fact, these alpha is forms the basis of v, right? So we have to show this. Okay, let's prove this one. First, we have to show that there exists a unique linear transformation t from this. So let us define a linear transformation first, right? From t from u to v, and later on we show that t of beta equal to alpha and unique. Okay, now let us take a vector alpha in u. Let us take a vector alpha in u, and you know that if alpha is a vector in u and this is a basis of u, therefore every vector of u can be written as linear combination of this. Therefore alpha can be uniquely expressed as some c1 into beta 1 plus c2 into beta 2 etc. up to cn into beta n, where c1, c2 etc. up to cn are scalars. That means alpha has been written as product of scalar into vector plus product of scalar into vector, product of scalar into vector, right, using these vectors. If beta is a vector in u, then beta can be written as linear combination of this like this. Some scalar into beta 1 plus some scalar into beta 2 etc. up to some scalar into beta n. For example, if you wish, I'll show you. Say, suppose 2, 4 is given. That is one vector. Let us say that is our alpha. Then 2, 4 can be written as 2 into 1, 0 plus 4 into 1, 0. See, your C1 is 2, beta 1 is 1, 0. C2 is 4, beta 2 is 0, 1. I've used two vectors, that's why I've written 2. If you use n vector, I'll write n. Similarly, say for example 3, 5. Yes, 3, 5 can be written as 3 into 1, 0 plus 5 into 0, 1. Any vector in R2 can be written as linear combination of these two vectors. Therefore, they are basis vectors. Right? So now let us define mapping. Remember, who is defining this mapping? We ourselves. We have to show that this mapping is linear because we need a linear transformation. So let us define a mapping T from U to V by, we need an element of U and alpha is an element of U. Therefore, T of alpha is equal to, but we know that alpha can be written like this, is T of this is equal to C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2 etc. up to Cn alpha n. Remember, your image must be in V. And you know that alpha 1, alpha 2 etc. up to alpha n are any vectors in V. Right? Their linear combination. See, alpha 1 is a vector in V. C1 is a scalar. Scalar into vector comes again in this V. C2 is a scalar. Alpha 2 is a vector in V. Therefore, C2 into alpha 2 comes in V. Because first condition of scalar multiplication of V, C into alpha must be in that vector space. These two are in V. Therefore, there's some closure law under addition comes in V. If you go on apply this for all n vectors, this sum comes in V. So this is possible. Yes, of course, we can define like this. Your alpha is a vector in U and this sum is in V. Therefore, image of alpha is this. Who has defined this? We ourselves. We have defined this one. Now, let us show this mapping is linear so that we are going to get a linear transformation from U to V. And let us also show that image of each of beta I is equal to alpha I, and also show that this mapping is unique. Okay. Now, let us prove T is linear. You know that in the case of linearity, we need at least two vectors because we want to show that T of C1 alpha plus C2 beta is equal to C1 into T of alpha plus C2 into T of beta. We are going to prove theorem 1. We have solved many problems on that. Same thing. What you have done in problem, what you have done in solving the problem, same method will be adopted here. So let me take alpha and beta are any two vectors of U. But you know that these vectors beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n is a basis of U. Therefore, any vector in U can be written as a linear combination of these vector. So alpha is equal to this. Let me write the same thing. And beta is equal to some scalar d1 into beta 1 plus d2 into beta 2, etc. up to dn into beta n. Remember, all these ci's are in F, di's are also in F. Now, let us consider T of, instead of taking C1 alpha plus C2 beta, I've taken C alpha plus D beta, right? C is a scalar, D is a scalar. Okay, because already I've used C1, C2, so that's why I've given C and D scalars. It is of the same as I've considered in theorem 1, C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2. It is in the same form. Now, let us substitute what is your alpha and beta. T of C into, what is your alpha? This. Plus D into, what is your beta? This one. Now, you multiply all these terms, right? What do you get? C into C1 beta 1 plus C into C2 beta 2, etc. up to C into Cn beta n. Similarly, this. Now, see, because these are all vectors in U, right? By the vector space properties of U, club the terms of beta 1. See, here also beta 1 is there, here also beta 1. If you take out beta 1 outside, then you'll get C into C1 plus D into D1 into beta 1. Similarly, in the second one, C into C2 plus D into D2 of beta 2, etc. C into Cn plus D into Dn of beta n. Now, this is of the form, right? Let us assume for the time being, this is C1 dash, this is C2 dash, this is Cn dash. Then this is of the form T of C1 dash beta 1 plus C2 dash beta 2, etc. Cn dash beta n. It is of this form, right? C1 beta 1 plus C2 beta 2, etc. up to Cn beta n. Whatever the scalar it might be, but it is associated with beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n. So it is a linear combination of beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n like this. And it says image of such linear combination. And remember, this linear combination, because beta 1, this linear combination, these are basis vectors of U, beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n. These are basis vector of U, means these are vectors in U only. So this scalar into beta 1 comes in U. This scalar into beta 2 comes in U. This scalar into beta n also comes in U. Because of closure law, this sum is also coming in U. Therefore, this is a vector in U, because this should be a vector in U, right? And by this mapping, image of the linear combination of betas will be equal to linear combination of alphas. So by that result, your T of beta 1 changes to alpha 1, T of beta 2 changes to alpha 2, etc. up to T of beta n changes to alpha n. So you're going to get C into C1 plus D into D1, same scalar. Remember, see here, C1 into beta 1 is changed by C1 into alpha 1, T of this. Okay, because we know that if T is a linear, obviously this will be C1 into T of beta 1 by above result. So T of beta 1 is replaced by alpha 1. That is what it is saying. T of beta 1 is equal to alpha 1. Okay. Now, so C into C1 plus D into D1 alpha 1 plus C into C2 plus D into D2 instead of T of beta 2 alpha 2, etc. C into Cn plus D into Dn into alpha n. Okay. That is what I have written by 1. Now, let us multiply them, right? C into C1 alpha 1 plus C into C2 alpha 2, etc. up to C into Cn alpha n. Separate them, plus D into D1 alpha 1 plus D into D2 alpha 2, etc. up to D into Dn alpha n. In this, C1 is common, and in this one, D is common. We can take out these by vector space properties, right? So you're going to get this is equal to C into this, but this is nothing but T of alpha. See? Plus D into, this is nothing but T of beta. So we got T of C alpha plus D beta is equal to C into T of alpha plus D into T of beta, which is the required condition for linearity. Therefore, T is linear. So we have proved that this mapping T is linear. So we have defined a linear transformation from U to V. Next, we have to show that T of beta I is equal to alpha I. So we have to show that image of every basis vector is equal to alpha I. In fact, these are also basis elements of V. Okay, that we are going to study in future. All right, so image of every basis vector will be equal to some vector in the codomain. All right, let's prove that one. Now, we know that our beta 1, beta 2, etc. up to beta n are all in U because they are basis vectors in U. They're all present in U. And we can write beta I as 0 into beta 1 plus 0 into beta 2, etc. up to 1 into beta I plus etc. up to 0 into beta n. If you multiply and add, you will get beta I itself. So I have written this one in this form. Remember, C1, C2, etc. up to Cn are all scalars. And they are coming from field F. You can give any value for these scalars. So I had given C1 as 0, C2 as 0, Ci as 1, etc. up to Cn as 0. Right? So it is of that form. Therefore, what is the image of beta I? That is T of 0 into beta 1 plus 0 into beta 2, etc. up to 1 into beta I, etc. up to 0. Now this is of this form. This form. Image of this will be C1 into beta 1 is replaced by alpha 1, beta 2 is replaced by alpha 2, etc. up to beta n. So by that result, I can write this one as 0 into alpha 1 plus 0 into alpha 2, etc. up to 1 into alpha I, etc. up to 0 into alpha n. If you multiply and add, you will get alpha I. So we got T of beta I is equal to alpha I, where I runs from 1 to n. So that is what the second condition which was needed. So we got a linear transformation T from U to V with the T of beta is equal to alpha. Now, lastly remaining is we have to show that this mapping is unique. Unique means there exists only one such linear transformation from U to V which maps basis vectors of U with vectors of V. How to prove uniqueness? Let us assume that it is not unique. That means there exists two such linear transformations. One, T from U to V with T of beta equal to alpha I. And let us assume that S is any other linear transformation from U to V with S of beta I is also equal to alpha I. Then we have to show that these two linear transformations are equal. That means you have to show that S of beta I is equal to T of beta I. If you show that S and T are equal and their images are equal, then they are one and the same. That becomes a unique. Okay, let us consider S of alpha. We know that alpha is C1 beta 1 plus C2 beta 2, etc. up to Cn beta n. But because S is linear, the above result of theorem 2, which says if T is linear, then image of linear combination can be written like this. Instead of T, in the following theorem, we are having S. So let us use this result here. Okay, so using that result, S of this is equal to, because S is linear, C1 into S of beta 1 plus C2 into S of beta 2, etc. up to Cn into S of beta n. But remember, we know that S of beta is equal to alpha I. If you put I equal to 1, you will get S of beta 1 equal to alpha 1. If you put I equal to 2, you will get S of beta 2 is equal to alpha 2, etc. If you put I equal to n, you will get S of beta n equal to alpha n. So make those changes in this. Your S of beta 1 is alpha 1. Your S of beta 2 is alpha 2, etc. Your S of beta n is alpha n. So we got S of alpha equal to C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2, etc. up to Cn alpha n. But what is your C1 alpha 1 plus C2 alpha 2, etc. up to Cn alpha n? It is T of alpha. Therefore, S of alpha is same as T of alpha for all alpha belongs to you. That means You take any vector in U, their images are one and the same. In the case of S and T, that means S and T are one and the same. Therefore, T is unique. So we have proved that there exists a unique linear transformation T from U to V with image of basis vector equal to vectors of codomain. And this completes the proof. So we have proved that there exists a unique linear transformation which maps the basis vectors of U, that is domain, with vectors of codomain. And we solve a few problems on these, this theorem, right? Wherein we can find a linear transformation which maps the basis vectors of the domain with vectors of codomain. So they will be giving you images of basis vectors of some vector space. Then you have to obtain the linear transformation. So we'll solve some problems on them, and we'll see how to obtain the linear transformation when they are given images of some basis vectors, right? So I'll stop at this stage. We'll continue in the next session. Thank you.